Mr. Hawkins.
What's good with you, Kurt?
Oh man, I'm over here trying to stay between the ground and the sky, you know.
I hear you. I'm trying to do the same, big dog.
Yeah, man. How you doing today?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
All right, man. So you done heard a couple of these podcasts. Have they been approved by the Dwayne Hawkins Foundation?
Kurt, man, you know everything you do is approved by my foundation. Yeah, I listened to I think all of them except probably like one or two, man.
Oh yeah.
I love hearing stuff like that, man.
All right, so then you kind of got an idea of how the format is, man. We'll try to stick to it and ask a couple questions. So for everybody out there, this is the Spartan Dawg Podcast, and I stopped counting the episode numbers, and I got my homie Dwayne Hawkins on the line. D-Hawk, what's going on, man?
Oh man, what's good, man?
All right, man. So where you at these days, bro?
Man, I'm back in Lansing, Michigan. I actually live out like on the borderline of Hope in South Lansing. So I made my way back this way probably about 2-3 years ago.
So you had left after you finished up, or what?
Yeah, man. As soon as I graduated, I moved back to Florida. I was down there for like 2 years, and I ended up in Fayetteville, North Carolina for 8 years, and then went back to Florida for another 3. And then back to Detroit, then to Lansing, man.
Man, so I'm sure when you originally came from Florida to East Lansing, people was like, what the hell you come from Florida to here for? But you moved back twice, man? Is you crazy?
Yeah, I moved back twice, man. You know, I had to learn some hard lessons, but man, I made it back this way.
All right, so cool. So now you recently let me guess on your years. I think you probably only been married 2 years, or is it longer?
Yep, 2 years.
2 years.
2
okay.
years.
So
yeah.
how's the married life treating you, man?
Great, man. Great. Honestly, I mean, it helped me out a lot as far as like giving me some type of structure, because I was like a little wild one out there at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
You know. Yeah, man.
No, so tell me about your wife, man.
Yeah, I met her actually 19 years ago.
What's your wife's name, man?
Her name is Albany.
Okay.
Albany Hawkins now.
Okay.
Yep. I met her 19 years ago at Michigan State.
And man, it took you 19 years to marry your wife, man. 17. Tell me the story, man. What's going on?
Yeah, man.
It took you that long to figure it out, Hawk?
Yeah, I'm a late bloomer in a lot of areas of life, but man, you know, I'm just glad I made that decision. But it took me going through a lot to get to that point to really want to settle down. And actually, I mean this is my second marriage.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. How long was you married before?
I was married before briefly, but we were together 7 years. I'm just gonna put it like that.
Well, you like to call them boyfriend years, huh?
Hey, I got to in that situation, man. Cause we was only married a short period of time, but yeah, man. But
all
this
right.
time,
so now, did your wife? Did she go to state too, or what?
Yeah, she went to state. She graduated from Michigan State. She actually still works at Michigan State. She's over in the agriculture college right now.
Mm-hmm.
And she works in their accounting department. So she's been there like 10 years.
Okay. Now, where's she from originally?
She's originally from Sagnasty, man.
Okay. Well, it's all good then. Now, y'all got 3 beautiful kids, right? Am I right? Because
I
met the 2 girls
3.
down here when y'all was summer tripping. And tell us about the kids.
Amijah, Zaria, and we just added Dawson. He'll be a year in September.
All right, so tell us, start from the oldest to the youngest, the names and kind of a little bit about their personalities and what they're into.
Okay, Amijah, she's 21. She actually had Amijah when we met. She, I think Amijah probably was like 3 months old when I first met her and her mom. But she took some courses over at Michigan State. Now she's at LCC and working. She's still trying to figure herself out. But the 15-year-old, Zaria, straight A student, never had less than an A. She's over at Oklamas High. She's involved with pretty much everything academically as far as extracurricular activities and stuff like that.
Okay.
And she just added on color guard last year.
Okay.
So, and then the young one, man, Dawson, man, that's a little young bull, keeps me busy. I just dropped him off like 11:30 today, and I got to run back out there because I forgot his formula. So he keeps me busy, man. He's
you didn't feel like you can do the podcast with him in the building, man?
And that'd have been impossible, Kurt. Impossible.
Okay. All right. So then now with your wife working at state, man, any benefits for the kids if they want to go there or what? Or how does that work?
Yeah, they actually get half off tuition, which is good. They get half off tuition.
Half off tuition, and you still got her at LCC, man? That's how you rolling out?
No, man, that was her choice, man. That was her choice, man. So
okay. Now, what about you? If you wanted to take courses and stuff like too, you get benefits too, or what?
Nah, actually, no, man. Because I looked into that situation. I actually went back for a semester when I moved back. Me and you talked about it when I was down in Atlanta because I wanted to look at, changing career fields and going into psychology.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a semester. Did pretty decent, but it's expensive. I don't have scholarship access right now.
So you married, so your wife's kids get the benefit, but the husband don't?
And the only reason I don't is because I already exhausted my, I guess, I don't know if it's called funds from Michigan State, because I had a scholarship and I already had my degree through the College of Communications at Michigan State. So,
man, you try to get a doctorate out of it, huh? They ain't gonna let it happen.
I was trying to stretch it, Kurt.
All right, and then cool. So now, Hawk, what type of work you doing these days, man?
Right now, I'm a behavioral treatment specialist over at this place called Highfield. It's a community services company out of Onondaga, Michigan.
Okay.
And we help like 8,300 families throughout the state of Michigan each year. And we help them with like therapy, counseling. And I work with kids. Work with kids from the age of 12, 11, sometimes up to 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the kids are on probation and, involved with the court system. And they come from some real challenging backgrounds, man.
So what type of stuff are you doing with the kids when you say you work with them?
Well, we teach them, we attempt to teach these kids life skills.
Okay.
I say attempt because, man, Kurt, like, I come from, I don't know if you know much about Pompano. I don't know much about, where you come from, but these kids come from some extremely challenging situations, man. I got kids that, father end up, murdering their mom. And, it's just like these kids have some of the toughest challenges I've ever, experienced.
Right.
And you have to pretty much be real delicate with these kids. And the first thing you have to do is earn their trust.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to go through that process, but it's an uphill battle. But we attempt to teach these kids life skills through what they call cognitive behavioral treatment. It's a therapy, supposed to be evidence-based, but it's a real challenge, like.
So on them, Hawk, when y'all work with them, are you guys just within a facility, or do you guys take them out to do things, or how does that work?
It's both. We actually have a camp in Onondaga. We take the kids to the camp sometimes. It just depends on the season. And we actually work within the classroom. So I'm in the classroom like four hours out of the day with the kids. And we just go through the curriculum that we have in place for the kids.
Right.
And then we'll take them out on an outing and as a reward, for good behavior during the week. But it's a challenge, man.
So on there, now, how long you been doing that?
I've been doing that just 4 months now.
Okay.
I just got it in that.
So how do you think? I was going to ask you if you had been there for. So what were you doing prior to that?
Prior to that, I was actually bouncing around back and forth in the financial industry. I had started off back in 2000 working at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter as a pretty much a stockbroker, a boiler room type action. I was Series 7 certified, stuff like that. So I was doing that. for like 2 or 3 years. Then I end up getting on at First Union.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
I ain't know that, man. You was in the boiler room, bro.
Man, on
You
that
was, you was
phone,
day you was
smiling and dialing.
day trading, man. We gonna have to talk about that off the air, man.
Hey, man,
You
seriously, I was
still
doing that for a
you still
minute.
sharp, or you ain't got it no more?
Nah, I'm really not at it at all.
Oh, okay.
Not
So,
at
so look,
all.
I was gonna ask you then. So with your job, man, how do you think having your son, impacted you with your job? I mean, you feel like you got a little bit more compassion, or like,
A lot more, a lot more compassion, to be honest with you. Because one thing my wife always, and we were friends before we got married. We remained friends, but we always talked about what we were experiencing, going through in life. And I never really had patience. And she was like, Dwayne, he's gonna really, because she had 2 kids before, and she did a great job raising them by herself. But she was like, just he's gonna teach you a lot about patience, and I didn't understand that aspect of parenting. And I also used to being kind of single, before we met,
mm-hmm,
and went through that little brief marriage I had, but it I never really focused on anything but me and what my family at home was going through. And pretty much that just changed my whole focus. And then going to work and dealing with these kids, man, it touches home, man.
right? And so is that like I guess to say if you had to pick two or three things that you kind of feel like that having a son changed in you, with besides that one, what other type of things how has he impacted you, just the way you deal with things and operate these days?
Well, pretty much, like, I guess talking to other fathers, communicating with other fathers. Like, I've called you a couple of times since he's been born and just asked your advice on certain situations. I also talked to Ricardo Jackson and
Mm-hmm.
D-Bot. D-Bot, he gave me some real good advice in the beginning. And Camel, but it's just pretty much getting back to the point of having that family outside of your family to talk to about certain things. I just take it more serious because I grew up in a situation where I didn't have my father around,
Right.
and I just didn't want to fall back into making those same mistakes. So I just I'm like a sponge right now.
Yeah,
I'm
hey, I
trying
be
to
seeing you with the little the carrying case on your belly at practice.
love it, love it, I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So look, Hawk, on there. I was gonna ask you. We talked before, and we was joking in the beginning about your wife, but you know, uh, prior to that, you went through some challenging situations, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I had quite a few of them. Yeah.
All right, so if we kind of gonna go a little bit backwards, but you. I mean, when I asked you about your wife, you was like, man, she was there for me,
Oh
and
yeah.
and then you are a survivor of cancer, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
buddy.
can you talk about that? Like what happened and what type of cancer and what you kind of dealt with getting through that?
Oh my goodness. That was I thought the knee injuries were bad back in college.
Hmm.
Knee injuries, but that was like at a time in my life where uh, I don't want to say it was a perfect storm, but it was some real trying times. I had just moved back to Michigan. I was working at this was at Quicken Loans doing mortgages with them, and probably like a year and a half, 2 years in, I just wasn't feeling like myself. And being the stubborn guy I am, I didn't want to go to the doctor. I had insurance and everything like that, but I was like just feeling weak. Then all of a sudden, that weakness started to progress to like vomiting. I couldn't keep anything down, and I let that go for like a month before I even went to the doctor. So I went to the doctor and told him what was going on. It was like might be colitis and all this, but they had to run their test. And so I had pretty much every test in the book, from the blood test, the endoscopy, the colonoscopy, all that stuff. And come to find out, I had a nice sized tumor in my stomach. And pretty much the doctor told me if I would have waited probably another couple weeks or a month, it would probably be nothing they could do. But during that time, me and my wife, at the time we were dating, she was still in Lansing. And man, that girl used to get up and check on me. And that's like an hour drive in the middle of the week and on the weekends. And make sure I was eating good, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just that. And I was pretty much up there by myself. All my family was down in Florida. I had a couple friends, in the area, but they're busy with their families.
Where you say you was at?
I was right outside of Detroit. I was living in Oak Park.
Okay.
Oak Park, Michigan. But yeah.
So then, Hawk, on the end too is like you kind of dealt with it and didn't say anything. I mean, was it a reason why you really didn't tell anybody, or you kind of, I mean, you really didn't say nothing until you kind of went through it? Did you just mentally decide that you was going to chunk this out on your own, or what was that thought process?
Really didn't know how to deal with it, because I mean, it blindsided me, and I posted it. I mean, because I let a few people know, like, I don't know if you remember Sherry Goodman. I don't know if she was there at Michigan State. She was a lot of help too. She was close by. She was at the University of Michigan at the time, in Abdur. But they came and helped me out a little bit. But I just didn't know how to deal with it. And like for 4 or 5 months after I got out of surgery, I was still in and out of the hospital. So I didn't know how it was going to go.
So what? I mean, did you lose weight, or was you not working, and could you not operate, or what type of stuff did you go through?
I lost plenty of weight. I gained it all back plus, but you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I lost plenty of weight, man. After the operation, I was out on that FHMLA for a while, and I just wanted, after I think of about 3 more months after I got back to work, I just decided I wanted, something different.
Right.
I wanted to take a step back and slow down a little bit and get my health together, make sure I'm mentally sharp, and if I need to improve in that area, do that too,
Right. So going through that, man, was there ever a point where you thought you wasn't gonna make it?
No, man, yeah, bro. Yeah. Oh yeah. One night I had to be rushed to the hospital. This was back in Florida when I was recuperating. My potassium level got real low, and feet got cold. And I always hear people say when you about to go, you hear you hear that the person, and they usually starts in their feet. And
hold on, you glitched up. You said what? When you said you heard when people say you about to go, what happens?
That you get cold. You start to feel real cold.
Yeah.
And it usually starts in your feet, And I was feeling that one day, and I had to be rushed to the hospital. Come to find out, my potassium level was real low. I wasn't eating like I was supposed to. Wasn't holding down food. I was still vomiting and still having diarrhea. And yeah, man. So that was a rough little episode, but since then everything's been good though.
Right. So then too, real quick. So y'all got married, and who was the officiant, man?
Oh, Sean Hart, man.
You pulled Sean Hart out, man.
Yeah, man. Sean had me nervous too, man.
Why is that?
Sean, man, he just showed up, man. I was like begging him, like, Sean, man, can you do this wedding for me? And I didn't know how busy at the time,
You said you didn't know what?
I didn't know how busy he was,
right?
And all the stuff he had going on at the time, because I had just moved back to Michigan. I think to Lansing, probably like 4 months before we decided to go ahead and just do it,
Right.
So it was pretty much last minute. He came through and did a great job, though.
Right. All right, cool. So now we're going to go back, man, to young Hawk, man. I need them stats on you, bro. Your senior year, what's the height, the weight, and what you running in the 40, man?
Senior year in high school or college?
High school.
Okay, my senior year in high school, lied a little bit. They put me down to 6'4",
mm-hmm.
and 215, but I was more like 6'2 and a half, 215, 220.
Yeah, what you was running the 40 in, man?
My best time at that time was a 4.66.
Okay, and playing what?
Outside linebacker, I was playing tight end. I was playing safety. I was
Really?
playing all that. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So then on your was your high school team any good, or how did y'all do?
Oh, my high school team was one of the best in the state of Florida. I mean, historically, we have like what out of three, four. Well, we actually have a lot of schools down there in Broward County, but in Pompano Beach, it's really two schools, and we were the best school out of the two, and one of the top teams in the state. We went to the state semifinal game 3 years in a row and lost to the state champions twice, and that was Braden in Southeast. So we had a great team, great defense. Out of that, out of my 4 years there, we had 5, 6 players in the NFL, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
So then how did your I guess your recruiting process go? Did you take all of your trips or what?
I took 4.
Where'd you go?
I went to Florida State. I went to University of Illinois, Pittsburgh, and Michigan State.
Michigan State. And then what ended up being your final two, man?
My final two actually is gonna be funny is University of Tennessee and Michigan State.
Really? So you didn't take a trip there, but they popped up in your final two. How did that happen?
Well, my whole sophomore year, this goes back to my high school year, football, I had injured my knee after my sophomore season. I dislocated it. But my sophomore season was one of my best seasons in high school. So I was getting a lot of attention and letters as a sophomore. And junior year, ended up dislocating my knee playing basketball, dunked on somebody, came down, blew it out.
You tried to dunk on somebody, man?
No, I used to do it, man. I used to do it, man. I was pretty decent at that.
Right.
But yeah, so I had to sit out the majority of my junior year and only played like 3-4 games.
Mm-hmm.
And did well when I got back in. We lost to Brady in the Southeast again in the state semifinal game. Then I injured my knee again right before my senior season in practice before our jamboree.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go through all that, in high school.
Right.
And just in order to, get a chance to, earn a scholarship. And I didn't know if I was going to end up going D1 because they knew what happened, because a lot of the colleges that were interested in me my sophomore year was like, what happened is, the junior year, where was it? So,
right.
It was in the paper and all that, so they knew.
Right.
But I played well enough, man. All those schools started to come back slowly but surely. They trickled in and came down to Michigan State and Tennessee.
Yes. Who hosted you when you took your trip to state?
Big Wing, Juan Hammond.
Oh Lord, I'm doing Juan's podcast tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
So Juan was your host, man.
Yeah.
Oh, so you had a good time, huh?
I had an awesome time, man. I really had a good time.
All right. So what was it about Michigan State, man, that made you decide, to go there, coming from Florida and not staying at Florida State? What was it about Michigan State that made you want to go there? And you were a part of Saban's first class or no? Yeah.
Okay. Saban's first class, 1995. So that was a crazy recruiting process there too, because I didn't know who Coach Saban was.
Right.
And I had I think I didn't really meet him until later on in the recruiting process. Him and Coach Baggett came down, and they, Bobby McAllister, he's from my area too. He grew up actually like 3 streets south of me, north of my house, and my uncle knew his father extremely well. So, and Lorenzo White, he's from the area too. Mark Bernard. So we had a huge presence. The Michigan State players, at that time,
mm-hmm.
up at Michigan State, and it just came down to the environment. I know, like when I had first got there, I never saw snow.
Right.
So that was like one of the first times I saw snow, and a lot of it. But
and was you like me? I thought they was gonna cancel school and practice and everything, man.
Oh yeah, I wanted to go home, man. But the recruiting trip was cool, but once I had to do a whole semester in that, so I was like, this is a mistake. But nah.
So your first year, what did you redshirt or what?
No, I started as a true freshman, man. I had came in, I did well in camp. Coaches liked me, and at that time, the transition from GP players to Coach Saban's players were kind of going on then too.
Right.
So
you started. What position did you start at?
Outside linebacker.
And so first game, you just hit the ground and started.
Well, no, not actually. No. I came in right behind Ike Reese.
Okay.
So Ike helped me out. Ike played well, and Ike ended up getting injured. I think he had I don't know if it was an ankle. I think a sprain or something, but he had an injury like 3 games in. So I got to start 2 of those next games against Boston College and Iowa. And I ended up getting a hairline fracture in my foot during the Iowa game.
Right.
So that gave Ike enough time to get himself back together and come back. But not game 1. I played the first game against Nebraska.
Right.
That's who we played that first game. And,
well, Lawrence Phillips wasn't on the team, was he?
Oh, man, Lawrence Phillips was the team. What you talking about, man? Good gracious of life.
Yeah. All right. So then, how did your career go? Shake out at Michigan State. So you got on the field your first year, and then how did it go the rest of the time?
Oh man, it was up and down after. I was just played with injuries. Same injuries that I had in high school kind of followed me to college. I mean, I ended up dislocating my knee. It's like right before the bowl game. We were going down to LSU to play. Went to the Weed Eater Bowl, Poland Weed Eater Bowl, I think. And I ended up dislocating my knee the day before we were supposed to get on the plane and leave. And so
this your freshman year or no?
True freshman year, yeah. True freshman year, yeah. And after that, it was just spot playing. I was here and there playing. You know, if I got healthy enough, I played. You know, supported. I played special teams, played a lot of special teams, but my knee never never healed right. I had to have like 5 total surgeries on my knee, then I had 1 shoulder surgery, but it was up and down. And then I went out as a medical disqualifier my junior year. My last game was against Notre Dame. Just played special teams pretty much. Didn't get in much that game, but that was it.
Yeah. So then your last couple years or last year, you had your scholarship and just went to school?
Just went to school, man. Went to school. I graduated, got my degree in telecommunications, and headed back to Florida, man.
Yeah. Now, how was that, Hawk, getting the news or that you would never play again? Or did you make that decision that you was done?
Nah, it was a decision that was made by a few different doctors. They sent me down to the Cleveland Clinic to look at to talk to a doctor down there. Of course, we had Dr. Ross in our staff here at Michigan State, but it just came down to it was like there's no way a team is going to take a chance at looking at you with a knee like that, because I had developed degenerative arthritis in my knee already.
Right.
So it was pretty much bone on bone.
Right.
So, yeah, it came down to, coaches was like, asked me what I want to do, and told me they're still honor my scholarship. They actually wanted me to stay apart, be closer to the team,
right.
And help out in with some of the players at the time that was transitioning from, high school to college.
So did you do that or no? Or did you?
I did it. I did it for a little bit, but the thing is, I get friends that ask me what happened with football. Why didn't I pursue it, harder after? Since I had that avenue, I just felt out of place.
Right.
Really
that's how my injury happened, and they wanted me to be around the program and help out with the coaching and stuff like that. And my mind, I said, well, I still got my scholarship. They like, yep. I said, I still got my tickets to the game. They was like, yep. I still get to go to training table. Yep. And I ain't got to go to practice. Not if you don't want to. and shit, they wasn't going to get that free work out of me, had me chopping up no film. So I didn't go either, man. I was like, if I ain't got to go over here and, so I was asking because, like, for me, it was an adjustment. I when I look back at it now, if I had a lot of fights at Michigan State, knocked a lot of people out, but I think that I probably had way more fights after I couldn't play no more, and it was like, I don't know what it was. I think I was just acting out when now that I'm older and I think about it. So that's why I was asking you, was there a transition period when, them was all the people that we couldn't really take classes with the other people because we had to practice. So all your friends was on the team. And
Right.
now while everybody at practice and training table for 4 or 6 hours out of the day, you just kind of out there. So how did you deal with that?
And it's funny that you bring up the acting out thing, getting in fights, because I went through a period of that. And Leroy McFadden, he reminded me of that a few years ago. Like, man, you wanted to fight everybody. But, that was a frustrating time, and definitely a tough transition. But at that time, I hung out a lot with Plex, because Plex had just just got to Michigan State. He had to sit out a year. Mm-hmm. So I was spending a lot of time with him, and I met, I introduced me to Stan Callanan, and that's the first time.
Lace Love.
Lace Love. Yep. So met him, and, we just, did our thing.
Yeah. So I just spoke to Plexico about 3 days ago. He's down there interning in Arizona. And Myron called me on the phone and put Plexico. So he wants to do his podcast in person. So if I haven't retired by the time that I think they play the Falcons here in about 3 weeks, so we're going to do his and probably do a little bit of video. So real quick, Hawk, one of the things that's interesting to me is like a couple things. One, you cool with Jay Green, right?
Yeah, that's my dude.
You said you cool. You met Stan, and you know me. So I'm interested is like, so for us, those people, or me and Jay, we were never in school at the same time.
Right.
So how is it that we got cool, and how are you cool with Jay, and what is it about? It's almost like a different, I ain't gonna say an era because it ain't 10 years, but why is it that you can be cool with people you went to school with, cool with people that was there before you, and people after you? You know what I mean? Can you put your finger on that?
I don't know. That's a good question, but the way I met you, I don't know if you remember me, Stan and Sean Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah, came to the studio, came to Patchwork. That was back in, I think, 98.
Yeah, we was in the old place when y'all came.
The old place, yeah. So we hung out with you. You showed us around. We had a great time. So that's how I met you. That was through Stan. That was like, that was a long time ago. We stayed in touch with each other, like, probably talk once every year, every 2-3 years, which I thought was cool since we didn't really know each other that much.
Right.
And ended up meeting Jay Green when I moved back here. Found out he was my neighbor, didn't know him, and we started, talking and, relating and, sharing our story, and started to go out to Michigan State and go out to the practice and stuff together. So that's how I became cool with Jay Green. But I try to stay in touch with as many players as I can, especially being out the loop so long like I was, and the way like my career ended. Because that last year and a half, I was more of a student than I think of a football player. That it was that tough transition that I was really trying to figure out who I was. So,
but if you had to put your finger on it, what's the common thing about these players? Like when I talked to Myron, he was on the phone and he was like, "Man, this a trip." He said, "I ain't never really." He said, "Me and Plexico, I think, was on the Steelers one year together, and we definitely didn't play together at Michigan State." But he one of us, man. He was like, it's like I've been kicking it with him for 20 years, man. He's like, we just clicked up here in Arizona, like we played ball together and been hanging out with each other. So it's like if you had to put your thing on it about, and this will go into the part about what you think it means to be a Spartan Dawg, but what's kind of like the common bond that's running between all these people, where you can even just pick up a phone and be like, oh, he played ball, I feel comfortable calling him.
That's a real good question, because you guys came in with GP, and we were pretty much, a different class, with Coach Saban. They wanted to, I guess, like I said before, GP had players that were, y'all were the dogs. You know what I'm saying? Like, he looked for a particular type of play, and they were tough guys. And I think most of us are pretty much tough guys. We might come from different areas and different, states and different backgrounds. But I think we have an overall toughness that I'm not sure other teams have, and most of us are down to earth. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't know what's his name. Is it Al over at
Haller?
Al Haller?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, run right into him, and it's like the cool guy.
Right.
I mean, same thing with Dutta.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, didn't play with Dutta, didn't know Dutta from Joe.
Right.
Joe, you know, ordinary Joe blowing the street, and he's a real cool guy.
Right.
So I think most of us are down to earth, and we definitely share that we bleed green, you know.
Yeah, Dutta, it was interesting talking to him. He had me tripped out, and I think he called it before I saw it. One time I came down there, and he just was happy, and he was like, man, I feel good when y'all around. He was like, I don't have to worry about nothing. My brother's here. I can drink. I can kick it. We can tell jokes. And he's like, I don't know what it is. When y'all just come to town, I just feel comfortable. Like I ain't got to worry about nothing.
And that's true.
Yeah, because I remember
that's really true.
Yeah, when we were sitting at that party, it was a whole bunch of us that may not have played together, didn't go to school together, but it's just a certain feeling when you get a group of the dudes together. You just feel comfortable, and so I never thought about it. And then once he said it, I kind of was in tune to it the next time I came around, and I was like, man, when I'm in Atlanta, my front seat is the cleanest thing on earth because I don't ride and go out with nobody.
Right.
But when 3 or 4 dudes that I played with come to town, man, I don't be wanting them to leave, man.
Yep. That's how. Yeah. It's something. It's just that family feel, man. Every city that I go to when I travel, I try to find somebody that's from Michigan State to hang out with a little bit, and it's same thing with Josh Shaw in Chicago. Went there and chilled with him, and I mean, we had a great time.
Right. All right. So is there some little backstory? Sean, like I said, was telling me to make sure I asked you about your relationship with Junior Seau or something.
Oh no, I never had a relationship with Junior Seau. What it was, and I think he's talking about when I was getting recruited, and Bobby McAllister ended up, hooking up a situation where I got a chance to meet him and Eric Moulton. Eric Moulton, he played Big E. Yeah, he played offensive line at Michigan State. So he was playing for San Diego Chargers at the time, and San Diego was playing San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. I think that was in 93 or 94 down in Miami. So I always looked up to Junior Seau. I thought, and I still think he's one of the best linebackers to ever play the game. He played at USC. But Bobby hooked that up, so I got a chance to meet him, So that was pretty cool.
All right, and then cool. So we had to do a little bit of editing, but can you talk about your relationship with Underwood and kind of like some of the things that he was going through, and were you around at the time to kind of help him through that stuff, or what?
I was around. I definitely was around a lot while he was going through it. I was doing my best at the time trying to help him after the fact, but Underwood was a guy that was different. He wasn't a bad guy at all. Wasn't out there like on drugs or anything like that. Wasn't even a heavy drinker. Underwood was deeply religious. So sometimes when we were hanging out doing what we do, Underwood would be doing curls, doing push-ups. I mean, he was a workout warrior, and or just sitting back reading the Bible or reading a book that had some type of Christian theme to it. But he went through a situation because he talked to me a lot about it. He didn't want to come back from his injury too soon because I felt when I had hurt my knee, if I would have set out maybe a year or two, that I could have had more playing time, that I could have healed up. But coach was trying to get me back before spring. Well, actually, during spring of the following year. So I was pretty much only out for a few months, rehabbing and stuff, and attempting to go back out and practice and do things of that nature. But Underwood just wanted to make sure he took his time, to get back on the field. And Coach Saban kind of rebelled. I'm not saying rebel. He just thought Underwood should have put more effort towards being a part of the team and getting back on the field. Wood just thought otherwise. So Wood went through a situation where he was pretty much ostracized from the team. He couldn't work out, and Coach Saban wouldn't let him work out, in the Duffy weight room, and he ended up getting access to the weight room through one of the trainers. A guy named was Doyle.
Mm-hmm.
He used to let Underwood come in like at midnight, 1, 2 in the morning when all the coaches gone, and Wood would go. So Wood took advantage of that, and and there was consequences behind the way he handled the situation with Coach, and he made himself eligible for the NFL draft. Man, I don't know if you ever met Wood or saw him in person, but like I joke with Flozell sometimes when we talk about, that's the only person that could give Flozell any type of challenge in practice. And it was just like nobody want to go against Flozell.
Right.
But Wood,
Right.
And, man, he just, he ended up having 2 kids while he was at college. He was dating one of the tennis girls, and they had twins. And he just had a lot on his plate so soon and didn't know how to handle it. He didn't even know if he wanted to play football anymore. But, when that the NFL called and you get a chance to, cash in, he was lucky enough to go first round, I think the 20-something pick to Minnesota, and only stayed a day at camp and left. Just contemplated whether he did or did not want to play football anymore.
Right.
And we talked up until probably, I want to say like 2005, 2006. I've been out of the loop for a minute, and that's when I think he was, I don't know if he was in Dallas, but he jumped around from Minnesota, went to Miami, and, I think he ended his career in Dallas as far as the NFL is concerned with Flo.
Right.
But that was a tough situation, him. I mean, everybody knows, I assume that, he attempted to take his life and stuff like that. And, I mean, that was tough for me to take because, that was my roommate. That was like family for real. We got real close, me, him, and Lamar Marshall. Pretty much that whole class of 95 was tight. We had Courtney Ledyard, Story Canoe, Lamar Marshall, Devario Carter, Raheem Miller, Billy Green, Scott Green's brother.
Yeah.
Sean Banks. Yeah, we were all tight, but yeah, that was a situation where it was, it's tough to talk about still, because I don't know where he is. I heard he was in Philly, but I think Billy Green keeps in touch with his mother at, Underwood's mother.
Right.
Social media, but yeah, it was a tough situation.
All right, now, Hawk. So you were there. So when during your eligibility, it would have been Saban and Coach Williams, or would it all have been under Coach Saban if you had played all your 4 years?
It would have been Saban and like 1 year Williams.
Okay. So
Williams. Go ahead.
No, okay. So then during that, like you always said you was out the loop, so you was gone for a minute. I mean, were you always connected to the program, or how did you kind of reconnect and kind of get back involved with it and get back around?
Well, luckily enough, first off, Coach Williams actually asked me before I left to become a graduate assistant. So he reached out, and he really stayed in touch too with me, even after the fact that I didn't choose to go that way. But stayed in touch with Sherry Acho, Sherry Goodman, who was at the University of Michigan. She still had a lot of connects here at Michigan State. And then when I got back, Coach D, he was the defensive backs and special teams coach when I was at Michigan State. Obviously, he's the head coach now. So when I came back in town, it was just like, welcome back. You're a lifetime of Spartan. Pretty much, we're not going to give you too much gear, but you can use the gym, So right. I picked him up on that, and Coach Manning was there, but.
Okay. All right, cool. Now you got to give me a definitive answer, man. What is it when you hear the term Spartan Dawg, man? What does that mean to you, man? Now, and it's interesting because you weren't there when we was there. So,
Right.
when you always look at people younger than you be like, man, these dudes, for us, we be like, man, these dudes got girlfriends, they join fraternities, they got all this stuff that we didn't have. So for you, what does that term mean, man? So what does that mean to you?
Spartan Dawg just means family, man. Before, after GP, I mean, I guess that was the era that the term was coined, right?
Right.
But it just means family. I think it crosses over eras, But you guys are pretty much the foundation. You that square. You know what I'm saying? Like when I met Boo Bell at whatchamacallit's wedding, Dan's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
He came through and he showed love, and it was just like it's a presence about certain Spartans. And the Spartan Dogs, when you meet them, you know they're a Spartan Dog. And like I said, it's just something really. It's hard to touch. It's hard to really define, but.
So was y'all still using the term when y'all was there, or what? Did it?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We was because we still had we had Moose in there. We had Ike. We had Ike. We had Reggie.
Right.
We had Yakini.
Yeah.
We had we had Marvin Wright. Right. Goldie. I mean, Derek Mason. I mean. We still, that core was still there. I mean, y'all passed that. They learned it from somebody, and they passed it down to us.
Right. That's
what they could, and they taught us the culture and what was expected of us at the time. So, that's one thing I always appreciate, and it's cool now. Like we all live like different lifestyles, and doing different things in life. But I can call Ike, I can call you. You know what I'm saying? I can call Sean. I can call Flo.
Right.
Straight horn, it just doesn't matter. And if you need something most of the time, somebody can point you in the right direction,
Right. All right. So cool. Now for you, if anybody trying to catch up and follow you or whatever, so you pretty much, do you go to all the games or not?
I go to most of the games. Last year was tough because the baby was born, but I try to get to as many games as possible.
But we ain't like other programs. You want to go to the game, you ain't got no problem, right?
Oh no, not at all. Nah.
My homeboy started linebacker at UCLA for 3 years, man. He don't go to no games, and then I'll be watching the basketball games. I'm like, why you don't go to the games? He's like, man, it's not like y'all. Or we don't have no relationship with our program. We can't even go to the football games. We can't go to the locker room or nothing. And I just be like, really? Y'all play? You started? I said, man, I ain't never even played down, and I'm cool with my school. And so you don't have no problem. You want to go to the game, you can go, right? You still feel welcome, right?
I still feel welcome.
All right.
I still feel welcome.
All right. Now, where can people follow you at, man? You on social media? I was gonna tell you, man. When we started that little Spartan Dawg group, it really the little group started because I used to watch Ron always post stuff, and one day I called Ron and I was like, man, you funny on this Facebook stuff. I said, you be posting some funny little stuff. I said, you know what? You should once you start this group, it's going to be called Spartan Dogs. We'll start the Spartan Dogs group on here. And I sent them the little logo that used to be up there and was like, you just be the admin and I'll kind of help you in the background. But I had made that suggestion to him because I thought he was talented at running that social media, and we didn't really have anything at the time. Now you a baby. Let me see. You like a news aggregator. I was scrolling. You a content aggregator, man. You pull. Hey, you gonna have something about the little Black Power. You gonna have something about some music. You gonna have something about some athletics. I was reading through your timeline, and I'm like, Hawk don't really write nothing. He just pull cool and interesting stories. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, so you like in our world in the music, you would be considered a content aggregator. So
I got you.
Yeah, you almost like some of these people make a whole bunch of money. They don't create the content, but like Huffington Post or whoever, they just aggregate all of these different interesting stories, and then people subscribe to them, so they don't have to pull all of that stuff. So
that's what they do, huh?
Yeah, you got a talent, man. Like you pulling stuff from all over the place and putting it in one place. If you set up a website, bro, you might can monetize it.
I'm like, looking at that, Kurt. I just pull stuff like I'm interested in. I like learning new stuff, man. But
that's what
man.
I'm saying. It's other people like that too, and they don't know where to search, and they don't want to get it. So just imagine if you had, Hawk thinks this is dope, and you post all of your videos and music and all this stuff, then people, instead of having to search around through the web, they just go to here and be like, people with similar tastes of yours, they'd be like, oh, I'll just go to hawkthinksisdope.com, and he be putting all the stuff.
I got to look into that, Kurt, man. I never thought about that, man.
Hey, man. Anybody else out here, that's how they do it. So, look, if they want to follow you or something, Hawk, where now that, and another thing real quick, we'll wrap up. So, like I was telling people, the people that I went to school with, I can joke on them and tell jokes because I know stuff or whatever. So, now, everybody, do their impression of GP. What was it like with Saban? I mean, did y'all used to joke on him and imitate him? And did he have some sayings or something? Or what was he like?
Man, Saban was intense when he first got there, man. Saban barely cracked a smile, So, I mean, I didn't have it. I wasn't that impersonation type guy. You know what I'm saying? That was, at that time, pretty much, it was Najee. He was still doing, he'd do Baggett, he'd do Williams. He'd even do, he'd do Saban. But Saban was just intense, man. He didn't give you much to play with. He was all business. He's focused on football. And he was really on a mission. But he was...
Did he used to cuss y'all out, or he just was intent? Oh, he did?
What?
Oh, okay.
Curse. Yeah, man. That was normal. That was everyday language.
Yeah.
On that football field, like I said, but he kept you focused, and a lot of things that he was teaching us at the time, which I didn't understand until later on, was just, working through adversity, being focused, and doing the right things. I know when I was going through my surgeries, Coach Saban sat me down and he gave me a book to read, and it was The Road Less Traveled, M. Scott Peck. And the first line in that book is, life is tough, life is difficult. But he always, he knew what buttons to push and when to push them with most athletes. Sometimes he came in and I think he rubbed people the wrong way, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think the guy meant well, All
right, cool. So yeah, social media, man. Where can we follow you at, man?
I'm right there on Facebook. I don't know if I got a Facebook IP address and all that stuff. I don't know that, but I'm on Facebook, and I do a little Instagram too.
And what's it? It's just under Dwayne Hawkins or what?
No, my Instagram is Scoob56, SCOOB56.
All right, and the Facebook is just your name?
Yeah, that's it. No alias or nothing like that.
All right, cool. So that's it, man. If real quick, man, if you had a quick wish list, man, whose story you want to hear, man, who I need to catch up with? I called Najee today, ironically, because I was trying to get some scoop on you, and I called Amp, but I didn't catch up with him. And I talked to Sean, gave me the backdrop, and Jay Green. But who on your list you be interested in to hear their story or people need to hear?
I want to hear, you named Notch. Oh, man, I'm trying to think now. And Notch would be definitely a good one to hear. We already got Ike. No, it's a tough one, man. I mean, I enjoy all the podcasts, but if I had to put my hand on a person, you got Travis, T. Reese.
T. Reese? All right. I hit him up. I got his number.
I know you ain't hit Tony Banks him up too. You got all their numbers.
I got Tony number. I ain't hit Tony. I was working to it. Here's my list, and this is kind of like really like I keep saying. I want somebody else to get involved. Sean tried to go spiritual on me this morning. He told me God chose me to do these podcasts, and I said God.
That's what he did to you.
I said God told me to tell you to do a couple, but I'm gonna do Derek Mason. I'm gonna do Plexico. I'm gonna do Demetrius Martin. And I'm going to do Juan tomorrow. I'm going to call Nigeria. I'm going to call Amp. And I'm trying to get Mill reached out to Jim Miller. So if anybody listening, they trying to get Jimmy on there. And then I'm retiring, man. Y'all got to do it from here, bro. So, and then I got to do Interesting after I did Baggett. I'm going to do Jimmy Ray next Thursday. But I told him I wanted to read his book first. And then I may do, I think the running back was Gene Washington. So that, it's kind of going into something else where, you know, my friends, I can just get up and call them and talk. The people that I don't, you know, have all the information. I literally got to do research, so it'll be halfway interesting. So like I was telling John, it's feeling like a job, and I just wanted to do it because it was fun. So the only person that, you know, Mill said he would do a couple, and then Goldie said he would do a couple. And if y'all can, you know, I think it's better if you talking to Nigeria because y'all got stories. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, yeah. You want me to help out, man? I got no problem with that. You know, just let me know the time and we can work that out.
Okay. All right. Y'all heard it. So we'll be looking for our Spartan Dawg podcast with special hosts Dwayne Hawkins and Mill Combin and Dwayne Goldberg.
Sounds good to me.
All right, Hawk. I'll holler at you.
All right, Kurt, man. Talk to you later, man.